It's Jack from B&T MacFarlane, and today we're going over the difference between the LX series and the L60 series. So let's get into it. If you're a homeowner shopping around for a tractor, this is a popular size of tractor to go with, whether it be the 26 horsepower or 33 horsepower LX series, or jumping up to the L60 series, which goes all the way from 35 horsepower to 60 horsepower. This is a very popular class of tractor at this dealership. The LX is an extremely popular choice because it is the first tractor that comes with a full factory cab, as you can see behind me. The cabs on these are almost identical, so when you're shopping around for that cab tractor, a lot of people will start looking at the LX series and then they'll start going over some of the kinds of things they have to do with the tractor, and a lot of the time they'll start considering a larger L60 series tractor. So today we're going to go into the differences between the LX and going with the larger L60 series. One of the most important things you're going to consider when you're buying a new tractor is the lift capacity and the performance of the front end loader. I know this LX doesn't have a loader on it right now, but I will show a video of one so you can get an idea of what kind of size of loader will be on it. But the LX takes a LA 535 loader, and if you remember from Kubota, the number on the side of the loader means the lift capacity in kilograms. So the LX will lift about 535 kilograms to the top of its lift height. The top of its lift height is about 7.5 feet, where if you look at the L60 series, this is the L4060, so it does have a little bit smaller loader than the L60 series in the same lineup, but these two are a pretty similar comparison in terms of horsepower rating, so I figured I'd show the 4060. But the 4060 does have an LA 805, so it'll lift 805 kilograms to the top of its lift height, which is about 10 feet up in the air. So this is a way more substantial loader. You can put larger attachments on the front of it, larger buckets, and if you need something that's going to do a lot more work for you around your property, then upgrading to the L60, specifically the L4060, might be a worthwhile investment, especially if you know you're going to have to lift heavy pallets of, say, stone, or if you have to lift round hay bales. The LX would be pretty hard pressed to lift up a round bale, where the L60 series would easily lift it. The next thing that we have to talk about is the horsepower of each class of tractors. On the L60 series, it comes in a 35 horse, 40 horse, 47 horse, 56 horsepower, and 60 horsepower. But the most popular ones at this dealership we sell are the L4060, so 40 horsepower, and the L6060, so the 60 horsepower version. On the LX, the most popular horsepower we sell is the LX2610. We've only ever sold one LX3310 just because of some DPF regeneration issues. I talked about it a little bit more in my LX video, so I'll link that right up there. But in terms of horsepower and performance, if you need something with a lot more power, then you do have to go with the L4060. If you're looking for more of a hobby farm tractor where you can run larger plows, tillers, larger rotary cutters, and you need more of a general property maintenance on about 10 to 20 acres, then you might have to consider going up to the L60 series, where the LX series is definitely more of a homeowner tractor with some light duty tasks on the 5 to 10 acres. That's not to say that you can't do larger hobby farm tractor tasks with it, it just will take you a little bit longer. If you remember from some of my other videos, once you get above 26 horsepower on the engine, you start having to have emissions control systems. So the L60, it uses a DPF filter. So essentially it's a big metal canister that cleans your exhaust as it passes through the engine. So yes, the L4060 will have to go through periodic regeneration cycles every 40 to 50 hours, depending on how hard you use it. The LX2610, since it sits below 26 horsepower, it does not have any regenerations or emission control system, again making it an extremely attractive choice. Keeping on performance and specs, the transmission of these two tractors is also slightly different. So the LX2610 has a normal hydrostatic transmission. You put it in high, medium, or low, and then you press the hydrostatic pedal forward or reverse to move the tractor forward or reverse. The difference with going with a Grand L60 series is it has a more deluxe transmission. So you're still gonna have your high, medium, low range with the hydrostatic pedal. So you just go forward or reverse to move forward or reverse, but it's a dual hydrostatic transmission. So within each of the high, medium, and low ranges, you're gonna have a further high and low range. So depending on what you're doing, you can really dial in the torque and the actual range you need to be in for the specific task. And it also has auto throttle sensing as well. So if you go into a pile of gravel and you don't want to take your hand off of the loader lever, but you want the tractor to sense how much power you need, the revs can automatically rev up to gauge how much power you need to go into that pile of gravel or to mow the field or to blow your laneway of snow. Hopefully it's coming across on camera right now, but the physical size of these two tractors is extremely different. The L60 series is significantly bigger than the LX series. So the LX 2610 at the top of its cab is about 7 feet tall, where this is about 7.5 feet tall, and it's just a much bigger tractor. So the front end loader on this and the front bucket will be about 72 inches wide, where on the LX series, it's only 54 inches wide. And this is where I think there's a bit of a gap in Kubota's product lineup. If you're jumping from a 26 horsepower tractor to a 40 horsepower tractor with a cab, this is the size difference you have to start considering. So a lot of people, they like the idea of getting the more lift capacity, the bigger tractor, but once they actually see how much bigger it is, it might not be very practical, especially if you only have 5 acres of property to maintain. Getting a tractor of this size might be a little bit overkill in terms of size, but if you need that front end lift capacity, then it's not really overkill when you're actually looking at the tractor. The cabs on these are virtually identical, except the L60 series has a little bit more space up there. Looking at the seat and the layout of all the controls, everything is almost identical. So going with one or the other doesn't make a huge difference unless you're a bigger guy and you need a little bit more space up there. Then considering the larger tractor might be worthwhile, but both of them have a rubber floor mat that is extremely flat, so they're easy to get in and out of. Looking at the back of the tractor, there are a couple notable differences on them. Coming standard on the L60 series are 2 sets of rear remotes, which make it again extremely attractive if you're planning on running a snowblower on the back of the tractor. They already come pre-plumbed for the rotation and the deflection of the chute, where if you get the LX 2610 or the LX series, you do have to add the remotes as an option. So this is going to be a category 1 or category 2 3-point hitch, so you can run a pretty wide variety of 3-point hitch attachments. You do have the telescopic lower link arms, so you can move the side links of the 3-point hitch in and out to specifically match up the implement, making it a little bit easier to hook up heavier implements, where the ends on the LX 2610 will be fixed. So you kind of have to shimmy the implements in order to install them. Lastly, we're going to talk about some tire choices on these tractors. They both have very similar tire choices. The standard one we put on the LX 2610 will be the R14 normal size tires. You can get oversized R14 tires, which raise the ground clearance by about 1.5 inches. So if you go into the deep dark woods and you need a little bit more ground clearance, that might be something to consider. On the L4060, more often than not, we do send them on those Nepean snow tires, because a lot of people who use them around Ottawa will be using them for a commercial snow application. But if you're going to be getting them on a hobby farm, I'd highly suggest getting R4 industrial tires. They're kind of the best of both worlds. They work really well in off-roading scenarios, but then they also work pretty well on the pavement. So just some final thoughts to wrap up today's videos. If you're a homeowner who really wants a cab on their tractor but doesn't want something that's big and unmanageable for the size of their property, they're just looking to do some light duty tasks around their property, do some snow blowing in the winter with a nice heated and air conditioned cab to keep themselves out of the forest with black flies in the summer, getting the LX 2610 is an attractive choice because it's not as expensive as going with the L4060 or even the L60 series in general, but you still get a pretty capable loader that'll lift about 1,000 pounds, so you're not limited to a lot of the tasks that you would be with a B2601 or even a BX series. And again, you get that full factory cab with the nice fit and finish. But if you need something that's a little bit bigger, more of a hobby farm tractor that you need to pull some larger implements behind, whether that be a tiller or a rotary cutter or some larger snowblowers, getting the L4060 might be the right choice for you. You're going to get a loader that lifts more, lifts higher, you're going to get more horsepower, and you're going to get a slightly bigger cab. But again, it is a much bigger tractor, so if you're considering this as a homeowner that's only going to be using it on their property, you really need to consider what it is you're doing and where you're going to be driving it. Because I know it might not come across on camera, but when you go down to the dealership and take a look at these tractors, you'll see immediately that the 4060 is just a more substantial tractor than the LX series. And that wraps up today's video. If you need help with parts, sales, or service, give us a call at 613-225-0555. Thank you.